Hi dear friends, this is a detailed tutorial of painting a cherry blossom branch on a fabric. The fabric I'm using today is 100% cotton. Start by making a sketch using disappearing fabric marker. You might have come across a lot of other video tutorials teaching people how to paint cherry blossom, sakura or any other pink flowers. But my purpose here today, and as usually on Fabric Painting Coach channel, is to show you how we apply that knowledge of painting on paper or canvas onto fabric. Usually people would like to wear the painting made on textile. That's why we should follow particular rules and techniques in order to make sure that this painting will be wash resistant. For instance, now you might observe how different the paint application is happening at the moment on fabric when I'm trying to create a thin branch. In general, creating thin lines on textile is quite tricky because the absorption of paint into fabric is much higher than when we use paint on paper. You can see how often I go back and forth into a jar. And another trick to consider is that even though I am painting thin lines, it's best not to go for a liner in this case, because eventually I am doing gradual change of the thickness of branches, and using the liner might not be as efficient as this type of round brush. It's a number 8, which allows me to pick up more paint and bring it onto the surface in a gradual and controlled way. As I always suggest, that effective and long-lasting fabric painting is impossible without layers. We create paint layers not only for the brightness of the picture, especially on dark fabric, but also for durability. As I teach in the free course for fabric painting foundations, first paint layer always gets absorbed into fibers, so we need to double it up with the second or sometimes even third and fourth. Like you can see at the moment, I'm applying highlights, which effectively are used as a second layer of paint on branches and on flowers, and I do it only at the stage when the first paint coat is dry to touch. Another useful and quite important tip is that we should also be quite careful in the amount of paint we carry on a paintbrush. We normally can't be as generous with the paint the way we might be when painting on canvas, simply because those lumps of paint, which might look as textures when we apply it on paper, they eventually might be sticky on fabric, and especially on clothes, which is really not acceptable if we want to have our clothes feel good and be wash resistant. So while you observe in general this painting process, I again want to highlight the point that I do use all of these tips in this painting, and overall, even in such thin lines of branches, one should always come back for a second coat to avoid one of the most common problems which people face when painting on clothes, which is fading out of dark colors. Styling and adding some more interesting features to the painting is as easy on fabric as it is on paper, so don't hold back Just only make sure to be in more control with paint water ratio if you're gonna wanna repeat some of the methods which I'm showing right now. My idea was not to create a standalone branch. I make a little bit of a background abstract branches to show that there are more branches around it. To achieve that, you can see I'm using very free strokes and a little bit of the paint diluting. This was my quick tutorial. I hope you found it useful. The links to paints which I used you can see under the video in case you would like some help to understand which ones you could use. If you have any questions, you can always pop into comments, and don't forget to join the free course for more lessons. Goodbye.